Welcome to the PopcornTalk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1.
Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the schmoes know, this is Marvel Movie News, bringing you the most up-to-date discussion and commentary within the Marvel Universe.
Excelsior to you, our merry Marvelites! Woo! We've been gone for 2 weeks, but we come back to you with show number 60.
Yeah.
Show 60.
Wow.
And it is a holiday, extra long, spectacular. It's a holiday show. 90-minute
Christmas sweater.
You're wearing your Christmas sweater.
Aw,
Christmas
so
sweater.
cute.
Ooh, thanks guys.
Thank you.
I feel like, wait, have we been gone? Because I've been gone longer. It's just...
You've been gone for like 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Because of the holiday. Yeah. And then the holiday.
And then, because I was out of town, and then I had to go deal with some things, and then the holiday, I was out of town again. I went to go see my family. It was nice.
Importante.
So anyway, let's get into it because we've only got 90 minutes to talk about the news today. That's all we've got. But we've got a lot to talk about. So let me get all this out of the way. We are the Marvel Movie News, coming to you live from nowhere, where we tell you all the news from all the studios and why you should be as excited as we are. Subscribe to us on iTunes at Marvel Movie News, or find us through the Popcorn Talk Network, YouTube/Popcorn Talk Network. You can also find us on the Popcorn Talk's website, popcorntalknetwork.com. Follow us on Twitter at Marvel News PTN, or on Facebook /Marvel News Show. Also, don't forget to subscribe to us on. Are you doing like hand signals, like deaf hand signals,
I'm
like
just
sign language?
pantomiming.
And if you'll tweet out a link to our show asking people to join our live chat, Zach in the booth will retweet you. He is the voice of doom today. Say hello, Zach.
Hey guys, how is everyone doing?
Beep, bop, boop. That means everyone's doing good. My name is Matt Key at the Matt Key.
I'm Meredith Placko at MPlacko.
We've got Coy over there.
I'm Coy Jandreau at CoyJandreau.
And we are joined by the one, the only, the indomitable Whitney Moore.
Hey, it's me, Whitney.
It's true.
That what she said is a truth.
It's true.
It's a true thing.
We can vouch.
She is indeed Whitney.
Yep. Do I do my Twitter too?
Give the world your Twitter.
It's at Whitney Moore.
Aw.
Like my name.
So that is TWEETNEYMOORE. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
And where can people find you? Tell our lovely audience about yourself.
I'm glad you asked, Matt.
Golly.
I host a show. I help host a show on Geek and Sundry called The Pull, it is on stream on Twitch, which is at twitch.com/geekandsundry, and we do it every Tuesday night. We like to talk about the comics that are coming out, as you probably know, every Wednesday. So we like to talk about our picks, and we do some other stuff too. We like to do like a radio show style read through of comics. This last one we did the Spider-Man holiday special from 1980 something.
No, that's fantastic.
I got to be Doc Ock and a girl named Bambi.
Wow.
And it's super fun, so check it out.
That's awesome. And you guys are strictly comic books, where we're the Marvel Movie News,
Yes.
where we're Marvels and movies. You guys do just comic books, right?
Yeah, it's been really hard to not talk about all of that stuff.
Sure,
It's so
of
exciting. I
course.
mean, this year has been crazy, especially with Marvel movies and TV. So we sometimes show trailers and talk about it a little bit, but we like to focus on comics and creators. We do a lot of interviews, so
cool.
Straight up comics.
And if I'm not mistaken, your specialty is indie comics. Like, you read a lot of indie comics.
Yes. If Hector and Amy, my other hosts, watch this show, they're going to laugh at me really hard because I'm relatively new to Marvel comics in terms of how long I've liked comics. Usually, growing up, I read a lot of DC and Independence, and I'm still like a great year for indies.
That's a great year.
Marvel movies and Marvel TV has really made me interested in reading comics.
Hey.
I read Alias for the first time, which I can't wait
It's
to talk
so
about.
good, right?
That's awesome.
So some of our listeners are getting into comics, have been into comics, but they've been like a lot like me, where it's just like a lot of Marvel stuff. What independent books would you recommend? I mean, other than Saga.
Oh, dang it. That was going to be mine. This year, okay, well, whenever you recommend a comic to somebody, it always just depends on what genre of anything they like.
But like some of your top picks from this year,
I
independent
love
ones.
Bitch Planet. which is maybe
Kelly
going to be
Sue did-
bleeped. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a swear.
We
but-
don't
Yeah.
say the F word.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Okay, good. Which is I would pitch as Orange is the New Black in space. For the uninitiated, I would say Lumberjanes, Rat
Lumberjanes is
Queens.
great.
Yeah, I love Rat
There have been
Queens.
so many, and in terms of just all-time favorites, there's a comic that David Mazzucchelli wrote called Asterios Polyp that is his departure from doing superhero stuff and is his weird experimental psychology-related art comic, and it's I think a perfect.
It's called
rad.
Mysterious Polyp.
Asterios, like the Greek name.
Asterios.
Nice.
Gotcha. All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you for all of that.
Yes.
That's educational. So yeah, if you want more information on independent comics, make sure to follow Whitney, and she'll steer you right.
Or metal. One or the other.
So we're going to dive through the news as fast as we can, and there's a lot of news, by the way.
It's been 2 weeks, and there was about 2 weeks of news in one of those weeks. So it's
Yeah.
like 3 weeks of news
like 3 weeks of
and
news.
those two big things.
Yeah. So we're going to cover the news real quick, which includes Fantastic Four sequel stuff, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, Agent Carter, Iron Fist.
Everything.
We're going to try
Literally
our best to
everything.
talk about Agents of the Shield a little bit, but then after all of that, we're going to jump into our thoughts on Jessica Jones and the Civil War trailer. So we're going to keep that until the end.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't hate us for that. But first, we're going to start with Spider-Man. You know, good old Peter Spitterman. Peter Spitterman.
You just spit on your-
I spit a little bit. Tom Holland this week talked a little bit about Spider-Man, and he did indeed confirm that he will have a secret identity and have the mask. It's not anything that we didn't already know.
Just like Peter Parker walking
Yeah.
around like, hey, it's Spider-Man.
What's up?
Spider-Man.
Spiderman.
Right here.
But the direct quote that he said had was, I think one of the most interesting things about Peter Parker for us is that he's the only person in the MCU that has a secret identity, so we all know who everyone else is. I think that's quite interesting to go back to that hiding behind a mask. So, again, it's not anything novel or new. It's nothing that we haven't talked about before, but it's just cool that, you know,
That
Tom
we get in the
Holland is
officials,
saying
he
it
can
and
talk
it's
about it a little
official.
bit.
Yeah.
So
Did you read the interview about him on Instagram where he's like,
No.
he's big into Ultimate Spider-Man and he got a haircut and he just posted a selfie and he's like, it's a selfie. And then everyone on Instagram was like, you're doing Ultimate Spider-Man, you've got that emo Ultimate Spider-Man haircut. And it turned into like giant news and he's like, bro, it's a selfie. and like, it's just great because he's like just a dude that hasn't had that kind of exposure yet. He's like
Yeah.
a fairly unknown actor that's been in like the heart of the sea and a bunch of like indie small, well, that's not an indie, but you know what I mean? Like smaller things. And all of a sudden he posts a selfie and the world explodes. So he's got that J-Law treatment.
The nature of the internet right now.
crazy.
I remember
So
James
loud.
Gunn tweeted that he was not going to answer any questions about Guardian spoilers because somebody's eventually going to guess
Accidentally
it.
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
it right.
somebody's going to get
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, it's
That's left
terrifying.
unsaid.
And like people just have like so much time because there's so much internet and there's so much like so many people focused on this one thing. So the dude posts a selfie and it's like
I know. James Gunn tweeted about another dog the other day. I wonder what people thought about that.
Oh,
he's in it, you guys.
Cosmo.
I
Cosmo's
know.
got competition.
So yeah, there's not a lot to say about that, but it is.
I think
kinda,
it's cute.
It's cool. It's cute.
Kids' enthusiasm
It's
is
so
great.
cute.
I know.
But kind of like tiny news that kind of has ended up leading into maybe a bigger bit is that Tom Holland also said that they're shooting in Atlanta for most of the production.
It's pretty much become home base
Yeah.
because they have the
Marvel's land.
studios there.
But then when Master Robert Downey Jr. and the good Sir Christopher Evans were on Jimmy Kimmel, I believe the quote that what Robert had, Robert, I'm good friends with
Of
Robert,
course.
that Mr. Downey Jr. had was, by the way, we're going to shoot in Atlanta again, you and I, saying that to Chris Evans, and Evans, oh, I know, I'm ready, because it's so hot, and
Right.
they weren't excited about it.
That was a cute interview. Did you watch
It
the whole
was.
thing?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
I
adorable.
find that interesting.
So here's what's interesting about that, though. Doctor Strange is in New York, Hong Kong, and London. Thor is shooting exclusively in Australia. Black Panther, Ant-Man, and the Wasp don't have scripts yet, so we don't even know where they're going to be shooting yet. Guardians is in Atlanta, but James Gunn has sworn that
Yeah.
Iron Man is
Up
not
and
in
down,
it.
yeah.
Which maybe he's lying, but
We were to Cap in it too, though. Like,
But, like-
Iron Man works a
Yeah.
little bit. Cap just being in space, like, I'm
and-
out of my element. What a wonky hijinks.
yeah, unless like the Guardians come here. But that doesn't make sense
No.
unless they're shooting like some like in credit scene, but they wouldn't be doing
Infinity
that
War
yet.
is also probably in Atlanta.
Maybe. I
Just
don't-
because Pinewood Studios.
Well, I don't even know if they have a script for that yet.
But I think they assume.
Maybe they do, but we do know that Spider-Man's shooting in Atlanta.
It's true. I'm just saying that's a stretch.
Okay, listen. I know the movies differ from the comics, but I can't see them doing Civil War, ending it any differently than the comics.
What do you mean? In Cap dying?
Cap dying.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler
from 10
alert
years
in
ago.
In the comics, Captain America dies.
Beware, yes.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. If you didn't know, in the comics, Cap dies, and as long as they don't pull a Into Darkness, Star Trek Into Darkness,
right.
and reverse it, I suspect Cap is going to bite it in Civil War,
I
we'll
for
see
some
Bucky
reason don't
take
see
over.
that happening, only because of how much Chris Evans has talked about. And
But then he can come back. He can come back
it's true.
in
It is a
Infinity
comic.
War.
They have the Infinity Gems. I'm
Exactly.
curious how
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's going to bring Cap and Iron Man into Spider-Man.
Maybe Chris Evans and RDJ are shooting something else entirely.
I would love to hear if they just were shooting like a romantic comedy.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're just talking about filming in Atlanta unrelated.
Right.
Just like, yeah, we're shooting my wedding video in Atlanta. You know all about this. Come on, Chris. I really enjoy that. They're like
yeah.
golfing and shooting a documentary.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah,
we're
they're
back
just-
in Atlanta.
They're just like shooting some like student film.
Yeah, just like trouncing all
University
of
of
us.
Georgia.
They're like
yeah.
speaking at a SCAD graduation
Yeah,
or something.
this is how it works. This is how it
Yeah.
works.
So that's all the Spider-Man news. It's not a lot, but we have a lot of Spider-Man fans, and I wanted to.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Secret Identity thing. I think that's going to be.
No, and it makes a good point because everyone else is unmasked and known. So
Yeah.
that's another reason they couldn't really do
do
the whole
Civil War that way.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting dynamic to add to the Marvel Universe we've established for so long, because the Marvel Universe is like, what, 12, 13 years old?
Yeah.
And we've like, kind of established it as being a No Secret Identity world.
Yeah.
And we've
Exactly.
accepted that. So it's going to be interesting to throw in this comic element that's like so alien to the film element.
People are getting real nitpicky about that, saying like, "Oh, well, Daredevil and well,
Right.
Ant-Man, like
Those are Netflix. It's like not
they're
technically
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
And Ant-Man's like on the cusp.
yeah."
Also, I mean,
I guess technically is kind of one of the first like masked masked superheroes that we're seeing, but
Yeah.
we have to see him evolve some more.
All right,
Right.
let's jump over to Fox right
that
now.
news.
Yeah, there's all that news to go over. Fantastic Four, great news. Maybe bad news for some people.
That one person.
The Fantastic Four sequel has been removed from the Fox schedule.
R.I.P.
Thank you, everyone.
Was that
You
your,
did it.
You did that? Thank you, Matt.
That's the first time anyone said that out loud. But no, it's removed from the Fox schedule. So that does not mean that Marvel's getting the rights back. It doesn't mean that
No.
Fox is even looking
No.
to give the rights back. I think that simply means that Fox is like, hell, what do we do?
yeah, I think it's just flailing and just being like, don't have it on the calendar and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Now, best of both worlds is that Fox looks at Sony and they're like, yeah, you know that Spider-Man thing that you guys did?
Seems pretty swell.
How do we do that with the Fantastic Four?
Exactly.
So, like,
They find some old contract where Chris Evans is still obligated to play Human Torch, and they're like, "All right, Cap, deal with it," and that becomes the new universe.
So yeah, we there is no Fantastic Four sequel moving forward as of right now. So let's talk about Deadpool real quick. Did you happen to see that video that he shot for? Like,
Many times.
Oh, I'm sure you
It
did.
is fantastic.
I'm sure you
It's
did.
wicked funny, and I speak Spanish just as well as Deadpool. I learned, and that makes me really happy. I'm glad his love of chimichangas didn't make him bilingual, because I get lost. No, they're incredible. They're so funny. He's always in character. I feel like Ryan Reynolds at this point is just.
Did you see that?
Oh my
that
God.
Yeah, it's in the
So
rundown.
good.
So this is the new
It's
poster,
so
which is so good,
Yeah,
and
so
impossibly.
YouTube listeners, we're showing you right now the international poster that is a picture of Deadpool.
90%. That's a Hello Kitty backpack, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
just sure Hello Kitty was like, you can use it in the movie, but you can't advertise us, you loudmouth, swearing, violent man.
So for all you podcast listeners, it's a picture of Deadpool. He's like turning around like all innocent, like
He's giving some cheesecake.
Yeah.
it just
It's like
says,
that quintessential, like, it's almost like the little girl who the dog is kind of biting.
like
or like
Morton
yeah.
Salt.
Yeah, the Morton Salt.
No,
or is
The
it-
sunscreen, the sunscreen, yeah.
That's it.
I need to get me to some foreign country where it opens February 4th, because I can't wait another week.
It's February.
Knowing
4th
others are
somewhere.
watching
Yeah.
it without me.
So yeah, we thought we'd show that, but then we've also got a picture of Koi with
Oh
Santa
my
Claus.
Santa Pool popped up at my local cinema, and I tweeted that immediately, and did not tweet it at Ryan Reynolds, but Ryan Reynolds liked it, which means that for some reason Ryan Reynolds was on my Twitter at one point, that I was just like, hey buddy, what are you doing? It was just such a random occurrence to be like, it was like 1 a.m. that I tweeted this, and like it was just like, Ryan Reynolds liked this, and I was
Dude,
like,
Ryan Reynolds is a huge fan of you.
now I can die right now. If Ryan Reynolds just like on my Twitter, I'm like, that's it.
He saw your most recent headshots and was like, this
He's like, this handsome fellow.
This handsome
if I
fellow.
need him in a movie. No, but it was just really cool to know that he like cares about the fans and Deadpool so much that he even likes stuff that he's not tweeted at. Like it was a really cool moment. Objectively, not in myself to be excited, but also he liked my picture.
So for all of you podcast listeners and all you people watching us right now or YouTube or whatever, we always have a rundown of the show at geekgirlauthority.com. It's going to be on the front page. Or you can look it up just by typing Marvel Movie News, and we have the video linked there. We have the posters, all the pictures and everything that you want to see. We've got it all linked right there for you to go look at. So you're welcome, everybody.
Thank you, Matt.
It's a lot of work.
You are amazing.
I do just because I love you guys.
So much.
Just
for
because
us.
I love you.
Girl Authority?
I am the Geek Girl Authority. I am an
I know. We wouldn't know how to do anything.
There's
if
the
we didn't have
hashtag Koi for
Matt to
Iron
tell
Fist.
us.
It should be hashtag Matt for Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Because you're the Geek Girl Authority.
There have been a few people that say that I should be Wong.
I see
and
it.
Dr.
I'm
Strange.
in for it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
it.
Completely wrong for it in every way. Yeah, sure, it's perfect. So let's jump over to X-Men Apocalypse real quick. James McAvoy reveals why Professor X is bald now. It's apparently the same sort of thing that happens when you get really scared and your hair turns white.
Yeah.
That's why he's bald.
Oh, he got frightened into baldness.
He-
Fell out.
Okay.
His quote is, he ends up going through something so horrible and painful that he literally half pulls his hair out half. That's how half it just falls out.
So he gets a Skrillex haircut, and then the rest he decides to.
Okay.
So anyway, so that's interesting. Like I didn't see that. I actually didn't see that coming. I figured like he just shaved his head. He's like, oh, it's time for me to shave my head now. I'm Charles Xavier.
I just always imagined him as bald for some reason, even as like a baby. Like he just never.
Just
had
always
hair.
bald, yeah. Part of his mutant
All the early
ability.
movies, he's wearing a wig, and it's like this big secret.
Yeah.
So like this movie comes out, and he's like, I have to tell you something, Eric.
It's who I am.
No, you've been bald this whole time.
It's
you
all a
monster.
lie. My psychic powers took my hair at age 2.
Yep.
But it does like do we see that event? Is that beforehand? Like, and we know from the trailer at Comic-Con this year that like Jean Grey has that like awful vision of the whole world ending and stuff. Like, I wonder if like any of that has to play with it. So
I don't know.
Real stress and PTSD apocalypse stuff. Lose your hair about that. I mean, I get it.
yeah, no, I get it. Like this ancient 10,000-year mutant comes back and he's like, hey, what's up? Let's do this. Yeah.
I think if I
Lose
saw the
my
world
hair.
ending, might get a little stressed.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So Simon Kinberg also talked about New Mutants this week. Maybe last week. I don't know. We've got like 2.5 weeks of news here.
At some point.
At some point in the last fortnight, Simon Kinberg said something about the New Mutants, and that is, here's the gist of what he said. You can read the full quote on Geek Girl if you want. Here's the gist of what he said. It's not done yet. We're still moving forward with it, and that Josh Boone, the director and one of the co-writers, is such a giant fan of the franchise and has been for his entire life that he came in and pitched the movie. They weren't planning on doing the movie. They're like, New Mutants, sure, whatever. Josh Boone's like, hey, I've got this idea. They're like, sure, come on in and talk to us. His pitch was so amazing and so dead on. They were like, yeah, how could we say no?
That's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
How
so,
often does that happen?
Yeah, right?
With that big of a movie,
Yeah.
it's like not like a $1 million like drumming film with Miles Teller, which is great. But like to come in and be like, by the way, give me $80 million of your dollars.
And then they were like, yes, give it a bow. Okay.
Oh my God, is he Kilgrave?
Simon Kinberg is no Josh Boone is
Yeah, Josh.
Kilgrave.
I love our new sound effects. This is great.
Zach in the booth. Voice of Doom. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. We've had a few of our fans ask us like if we have any news on New Mutants, and it's like, well, I mean, if there's any New Mutant news out there, like you can find it like us. Like we don't have it in at the studio, but I do like being able to report on that because I'm excited about New Mutants, and I think it's probably going to be more like X-Force. I really think that that's how they'll pull Deadpool in and Cable and everything like
That'd be
that. So
interesting.
There's a lot like in that world that would be very good for TV and movie tie-ins, and I think we're at a point now with Netflix doing so well and TV doing so well that they're going to start incorporating those better. And I think Fox needs to catch up, so I think they're going to be the first to really be like, I mean, S.H.I.E.L.D. gets acknowledged, but not in a direct way. I think Fox is going to be like, hey, we can universe build and then set up large event titles with film, and I think what they can do is make their TV like episodic and make their film like annuals, and make their big event comics the movies, and have their like all their stuff tie in, because there's so many rich characters and rich storylines that I think Fox could make their point to skip ahead with that device, which I think they might be doing.
And it makes me wonder too, because so YouTube Red is now starting to go after like Hollywood studio money, and
Yeah.
and since Marvel's so tight with Netflix, I wonder if Fox might try to go with the YouTube route versus say Amazon or even Netflix, because it's such a new venue
I
that
just hope they cast
crazy.
actors and not YouTubers. No offense,
Yeah.
YouTube. It's just been a thing lately.
no, it's I saw that last YouTube movie.
No offense to YouTube. I love you guys, but man, actors are actors.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Guys, I've just got some breaking news. Jeremy L on Twitter says that Meredith's hair is on point today.
There's been a lot of that. I've gotten a lot
Thank
of
you.
marvelous.
And,
And Jake Thor said thanks for the response.
Nice.
And he said that someone even say it's
Marvelous. Aw, thanks, guys.
See, even with all this news, we got time for you guys.
know.
Yeah.
Much love.
So
Shout out to my mom's hairdresser in Fort Lauderdale who taught me to finally do my hair after 15 years.
hey guys, but really, like, this is a very important question. How's my hair doing today?
It's great.
Oh, it's on point.
Yeah,
You
it's,
got a
good.
nice
It's
little
pretty
point.
nice,
Does
yeah.
layers.
It's
Yeah.
it's more modern Doctor Strange, like very
yeah.
Doctor
You need
Strange
the
issue
axe.
3. Yeah.
Facial hair bros?
Yeah.
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 Shelby bought a bow staff like this week. She just bought
To
a
be-
bow staff.
to be
And
Agree with the
Yeah.
mustache.
she
I'll give
bought
her
it and
lessons.
brought it home, and I have. Please do, because I've been
Yeah.
very confused at Gambit
Bow staff
living
was
with
my
me,
favorite
and it's been
weapon.
I just didn't know what to do about that. Like knowledge, I didn't know that was a thing people purchased in real life. Like I.
She can go hang out with Huffman.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
be Gambits
Yeah.
together. But like the new Daredevil, I just see this bow staff. I'm like, why does Shelby own that? Like it's a very odd thing, just ominously sit in the corner
Maybe
of a
it's
room.
for
Those
a new
are
role.
fun.
I mean, I'm excited.
Oh my
It's just
God.
been very.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
She's just
Right?
secretly just. But yeah, we were talking axes. It's very exciting.
Tell her I will
Alright.
give her lessons.
Aw.
That's awesome. I'm excited.
And Whitney, your hair looks great.
Yeah.
Thanks. I was starting to feel really left out.
I know.
Talked about
I know, your
everybody's
looks-
hair on
I
this.
know.
Coy has no hair.
I grow Ryan Reynolds on my head. That's all I got.
So let's jump over to Marvel real quick, where we've known that Doctor Strange was already in production. We've seen the pictures from Nepal. However, they are now officially in production. They've moved to London, where they're in production there. And as we said earlier, they'll be going to Hong Kong as well at some point to shoot. And along with that announcement, they also made mention that Mads Mikkelsen is 100% officially attached to the cast. I don't
You're
think-
dancing back and forth.
Yeah, I don't know that we had like official confirmation until that press release came out, and they're like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, Mads Mikkelsen." None of the roles have been disclosed. The only roles we know about right now are Cumberbatch as Strange, Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, and Chiwetel Ejiofor as Baron Mordo. But Rachel McAdams is still like, "Hey, what's up? I'm a chick," and Michael Stuhlbarg is still like, "Hey, what's up? I'm a dude," and Mads Mikkelsen is still like, "Hey, I'm a badass," but we don't know who they are.
And I love that. I'm really happy there's some
dude,
mystery.
I'm so
Yeah.
like that makes me so happy.
Yeah, because like I always after international trailer I stop watching, so I'm really happy that we're this far into production and there's still
Yeah.
some mystery. I'd like there to stay some mystery if it's possible.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Like I don't want them to release much more. Like I would love to know who Rachel McAdams is, because that's killing me. Because but that's like the last thing that I actually want to know.
A lot
just
of
had a
people
great
think it's Linda Carter.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
'cause from the Oath. Yeah.
We just had a
So-
great nostalgia shout out from Zeno Hour saying Marvel hair news.
Aww.
Remember Marvel hair news?
Oh, I remember.
I love how Star Wars has been doing all their promotion without giving too much away. I sometimes wish Marvel would kind of pull back.
I would love that
a little
so much.
bit.
I hope they take that cue
Yeah.
from Disney, because it'll still make all the billions of dollars. It's they
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think I would have liked Ultron more, because I enjoyed Ultron when we watched it much more. If you guys
Yeah.
watched the watch along, which we did, it's 3 hours of us watching a movie, which was a weird experience.
But people love it.
But people
But
loved it. It was a
and
cool
it was-
thing.
it
But
was
I
a
appreciated
blast.
the movie
It was
more.
so much fun.
Because I was
Yeah.
removed. I was able
Yeah.
to take a step back. I would love to go into the theater with that same step back.
Yeah. That's why I haven't watched anything from Star Wars since the international trailer.
Yep, that's where I'm
Yeah.
going to live from now on.
Just
After
refusing.
international, I
Yep.
walk back.
And nothing else. And I've watched a couple, but nothing's really revealed anything. And I will say, probably at Civil War, even though I know it's our job, I'm very happy with what we saw. I don't think I want to see anything more, because
Yeah.
I'm most excited about this.
Yeah.
And I want to stay that way.
Deadpool, I'm stopping after
Yeah.
international. Same thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, guys, you're going to be mad at me, but you're going to deal with it. From now on, I think that's just where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
agree.
we'll report on news, but I'll even like disclose to everyone, like if it's something, I'll walk out of the room if I have to, because there are certain things I want to just experience as a
I don't
fan.
want to ruin movies for me by giving movies to you.
Exactly.
So yeah, I just think from now on, I think it's a great way, unless they start like doing like Star Wars is.
Yeah.
So speaking of Rachel McAdams, as I was earlier, she promises that the film is, her quote is, "It's definitely not going to be like any of the other films."
Yes.
Which we all know.
Weird
I just
AF.
love hearing the actors say that, because she said that, and she would tell Ejiofor last week said the exact same thing of, yeah, it's weird and it's out there, like
That's what it should be.
and that's what it should be, but like the fact that they've got this caliber of talent signed on to it, like, means that the script must have been
Incredible. And their buzzwords are all like,
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say when people ask? It's crazy. I love that like everyone has the scope of the film and like, I can't wait.
Well, different is always a really interesting and great thing to hear from actors when they're talking about superhero movies, because, like, let's think of some different superhero movies. Guardians of the Galaxy, like, there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them, like, that's why I'm not gonna see Batman, Superman. I'm not gonna see Fantastic Four ever. I'm not gonna see the last one. Didn't bother watching it, but it's because they're not
experience.
trying anything new, and I think that it's really, really exciting. And I love Rachel McAdams.
So this whole next wave, Phase 3, seems like it's all different.
Yeah.
All new, all different.
Yeah.
Oh.
Perhaps.
they're all
If
in
only.
So yeah, and she also spoke about how she fell in love with Scott Derrickson, the director for Doctor Strange. She also mentioned how she fell in love with his vision and his passion for the whole thing. So that behind it, with all the actors, like, it's, I don't know. I'm excited. I mean, obviously I'm excited. While we're on the subject of Doctor Strange, by the way, all of you watching us on YouTube can see that there's a new Doctor Strange figure on the table.
Ah, that's nice. I
Right?
didn't see him.
I got that from my lovely fiance Brittany West. She gave it to me as a late birthday gift, even though she already gave me a lot of birthday gifts. She was like, "Here, you need more birthday gifts," and she gave that to me last night.
Never-ending birthday.
The never-ending birthday. So Mads Mikkelsen and Chiwetel Ejiofor also spoke of Doctor Strange at some point in the fortnight that's passed. With Mads Mikkelsen saying he hasn't shot anything yet, and that he will probably be shot just for saying that by Marvel. And Chiwetel, I thought what was interesting about what he said in another interview was they asked him, is he an antagonist to Doctor Strange? And he said, I don't really want to answer that question because I feel like it's linked to things I shouldn't go into. I hope it will be interesting when we bring the film out to see what those characters are like or what they're not like. You're just going to have to wait to see. So I think that they're playing with him as an antagonist.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, I've said this before, I don't think he starts as an antagonist. I think he morphs into one by the end of it, and I think he will be the primary antagonist of the sequel. So... And I think that they'll probably do something more akin to The Oath.
Well, with this caliber of actors, you want a long game. Like, and with this type of character, you want a long game. And with these kind of visuals, you want a long game. So it would make sense to just be like, bad guy. So I think it's a great way to, I'm excited.
Yeah, so anyway.
Next year's insane. I'm
it's
sorry.
Ridiculous.
It's just crazy.
No, it's
like,
ridiculous. We've got
Deadpool to start the year.
Dawn of Justice. We've got Civil War. We've got... we had
Doctor
Gambit.
Strange in November.
We've got Doctor Strange. Wait, there's another one in
There's
there.
another one, yeah. Like, it's crazy. Just like the scope of next year. It's
and there's Suicide Squad.
Oh, right, Suicide Squad. Yeah,
Yeah.
next year. I'm so excited for all of those movies.
Yeah, like, it's insane.
Wait,
It's
are there
insane.
only 2 Marvel movies next year?
I think there's only 2.
Because they
There's
moved
3.
X-Men's next year.
No, Marvel movies.
Apocalypse.
Yeah,
you're right.
Apocalypse next year.
Yeah, but
But we have 2 Fox movies. It was going to be 3 with Gambit, because I thought that was going to be
But
their
that
big phase
And
1.
next year's
Moved.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, man.
Get movie
right,
pass.
because we were going to have Black Panther next year and they moved that. Okay.
I think it's really easy and terrible to be an elitist when you're a comic book fan, because, a lot of my friends, including myself, grew up being like made fun of for liking comics. It's so easy to be like, they're mainstream now. But it's so cool. And it's like,
really cool.
Yeah.
it feels like we don't deserve all of this, but we're getting it. And it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing to be like proudly wearing a Spider-Man shirt still, because of how many years it was like not a thing. But I don't think. I'm really proud of nerds in a way, geeks, whatever you want to call yourselves, for not becoming like the sports fans of the medium, because it's not a thing where we like, I don't think we look down on people that don't know the source. We like tend to draw them in. Like, this show's all about showing people that don't know the comics what the world is, and we didn't make it a thing like, hey, we were persecuted, now we're in charge. Like, we made it like, hey, thanks for realizing how awesome this is. Join us.
I'm really
That's
happy
really
you've
cool.
met those people because I've met the people who talk down. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
me
you,
too.
yeah,
Oh,
they're
really?
like,
Terrible.
oh, you only
I
watch
avoid
the
a lot of
movies.
people.
You're not good enough. Like, oh, the movies are crap. Like, you should only read the comics. Or you've never read a comic. You're terrible. I'm like,
Really?
I'm gonna go out on a limb
Yeah.
and say that we've dealt with this as
Yeah.
women. Probably.
That's what I was thinking also, yeah. Because as
Yeah.
a 6'5" white, slinky, nerdy guy,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Well, yeah,
I look
Yeah.
like a bro, so I think
Yeah.
people are just like,
My-
yeah, comics. So I
My
don't know, like-
favorite is I'll take my boyfriend to comic conventions with me. And don't get me wrong, Greg, giant nerd, super into video games and tech and maker stuff, but not a comic book guy. He didn't even start watching the Marvel news and Marvel movie stuff until we started dating. And now he reads some comics. We'll go around and like people will be like, "Oh, what do you want?" He's like, "I don't know. I'm here with her." And people are like, "Oh," and he's like, literally, I don't know crap about this stuff. He's like, I watch the movies because she got me into them, but he's like, I don't know
I'm proud of
anything.
us as a culture the way we're going
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I
as a
agree. I
comic
agree.
culture and as a film culture, I'm really
Yeah.
proud of us for making this what it is, and I think it's only going to help society to
Yes.
have good role models in the form of powerful creatures that do the right thing instead of the wrong thing, because there's a
And
lot
you're
of the
so
wrong
positive.
thing.
You
Well,
are.
I'm just saying there's so much wrong out there that I think it's really good to have the #1 selling movies be about things being right with power instead of wrong with power.
Yes.
Because like San Bernardino is terrifying, Pastino is terrifying this week, and I think that we need to have these morals pointed in the right direction through entertainment, because people aren't going to listen to books, people aren't going to listen to reading, they're going to listen to shiny objects, and if the shiny objects can have you subconsciously realize right and wrong, hell yeah. So superheroes moving forward is awesome.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's so good. Cool idea.
I had to
Yay.
rant today at some point.
It's okay.
The
It
underslept
wouldn't be-
rant.
It wouldn't be a show if Coy didn't rant. at
Hey,
some
I
point.
have to get preachy about something at some point today.
I think it's
So.
really exciting.
No, I agree.
Well, let's go preach on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 real quick.
I just want to preach on that soundtrack as soon as we get an idea of
Oh
what
my god,
that
I
is.
can't wait for that.
Oh, Volume 2,
my
I can't.
God.
I've listened to the first one so much that it's like one item
so
in my
good.
brain.
Brittany has been on like a really big Motown kick lately. Oh
my
like,
God.
I've been listening. So I've been listening to a lot of Motown, going, oh, that would fit in Guardians.
Yeah, dude.
Star-Lord would listen to that. Like, so
Motown is my jam.
Yeah.
That album is a great road trip album. As
It's
well.
incredible. It's
so
versatile, but
good.
has a nice through line.
Isn't this one going to be more 80s focused?
Yeah,
hope
that
so.
makes sense because it would be
Yeah.
the next tape that is mom doing.
I hope so.
we had some news last week. It was broke from Heroic Hollywood, our friend El Mayembe over there, where he had learned that Star-Lord's dad. First of all, maybe spoiler, probably not, because James Gunn debunked it. But if you're sensitive to this kind of thing, they had revealed that his father was going to be Mar-Vell, the Kree warrior who becomes Captain Marvel on Earth after he's like, I don't want to be a Kree anymore. I'm not going to spy for you jerks. But then the next day, James Gunn debunked it. And his exact quote was, all right, from this moment on, I'm going to stop commenting on any rumors surrounding Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, because eventually someone is going to come up with a spoiler that has some truth to it. That said, the rumors surrounding Quill's parentage at the present moment are completely false and aren't even close to the truth. I don't know how people come up with this stuff, but it certainly isn't through legitimate sources.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
So-
buy. I know some people are like, well, of course they're going to deny it now. I'm like, that doesn't make sense for Mar-Vell to turn evil like that. Like, why would they change that character so drastically?
Yeah, well, he's not evil. It's just his dad, right? Like,
Well, but if the rumors about him, but there's been other rumors that have surfaced that the dad might be a villain. We heard about that earlier in the summer.
right,
So some of
yeah.
that surfaced. So like, you know,
yeah,
I don't
like,
know.
I'm not gunning to find out who his dad is.
Yeah.
I'll be happy with the reveal, or I'll be happy to let Marvel be like, oh,
Yeah.
here's the trailer, and by the way,
I know.
maybe that's his dad.
I think we'll get a dad reveal, but I think the dad and the villain are two separate entities.
Yeah,
Matthew-
I think that's.
sorry, go ahead.
I think that's just going to be like part of the emotional meat of the movie, and that's
Yeah.
not something that we need spoiled. That's like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Matthew Rondello in the live chat had a great idea that
Matthew
awesome,
Rondello.
Yeah, it's on Twitter a lot, like that guy.
Yeah.
Random theory. Also, Mix Volume 3 is going to be given to Star-Lord by his father.
Aww.
How cool would it be
I
if
like
they
that.
met and they both gave each other mixtapes, like the mom and the dad, and then like she made it a thing that he did that, and the
Aw,
dad's
that would
like,
be awesome.
yo, I got this mixtape. Like, how cool would that be? I love that idea.
What would be awesome? Aw, thank you, audience in the studio.
They're so sympathetic.
By the way, we do have an actual member of the audience today. Our good friend Brian Markinson came in to say hello.
He's a man with many voices and applause.
Yeah.
Those are not audio files. That's all Brian. He's
terrible.
very good.
Killing it.
So anyway, let's talk about Marvel real quick. Captain Marvel. And who he is. So, just because we're an educational show, too. We want to educate our audience. Captain Marvel was a Kree warrior named Mar-Vell. He was sent to Earth to spy on it because they were starting to go into space.
Yeah, advanced technology.
And the Kree were like, hey, who are these jerks? Why don't you go spy on them? And then Mar-Vell, while he was here, figured out, like, oh, the Kree are like, they're jerks. They're going to destroy the Earth, and they're using my footage to figure that out, my facts to do that. I'm going to stop doing that, and I'm now going to become a defender for the Earth. So that's more or less it.
Yeah, then he gets space cancer.
He gets space cancer and dies in the graphic novel,
rough.
The Death of Captain Marvel. It can't be a spoiler because A, it happened in like 81, and
Is
2...
space cancer the same type of cancer that Thor has now?
Oh.
Lady Thor,
That
Jane
Lady
Foster.
Don't even with that Lady Thor crap, Matt.
What? That's what she's called.
No, she's not.
called Thor.
She's called Thor.
I mean, the fans call her Lady Thor.
No.
Like, I'm just like, sorry. I don't mean to offend.
Jane Foster.
Jane
Call her by her
Foster.
Christian name. Robin Jane Foster Thor the Third.
Thor Odinson
So
out there being drunk and unhappy with life right now.
He's Australian. You gotta have that face.
But so Captain Marvel does that, and Captain Marvel, the current one, Carol Danvers, got her powers from Captain Marvel when her human DNA was crossed with his Super Kree DNA by the Psyche Magnetron.
Yeah.
So
Comics, man.
wacky.
They just write words.
Yeah.
We need a machine to make a girl Captain Marvel. Psyche Magnetron. Oh, Stanley.
Comics.
I know. I'll give the movies this. They kind of ground some of these powers in a lot more relatable ways.
Yeah, they put it in one pound.
And we'll talk about that when we talk about Jessica Jones.
Yep.
So, anyway, Captain Marvel's not Star-Lord's dad, but at one point it was reported that he was. So there's that news. Captain America Civil War, we're going to talk about it a lot more later when we get to the trailer, but some news. Black Panther was on the cover of Entertainment Weekly this week.
Looks so cool. I know.
I mean, that's a great button on my rant. we live in a world where Black Panther's in the cover.
Can we also address one of the notes was like...
Meow?
Yeah,
Can we address meow?
Yeah, and the whole thing about he's got claws as sharp as any Hollywood housewife or whatever.
Why?
I'm like, can we just...
Why was one of the housewives of like Jersey Shore writing the front cover
Yeah,
of
I'm like, what is this?
meow?
No.
Yeah, it was awful.
I'm
it was
glad
really
it's mainstream, but I don't want it mainstream enough that Black Panther has a meow written above him on Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah. Especially because it's like we've got our first like big black superhero coming in, and like this is massive and huge, and
Meow.
like
Let's make it weird.
like if it was like Star-Lord, sure, like Star-Lord, you wacky guy.
Yeah.
But Black
And like
Panther,
of any of the mainstream superheroes, Black Panther's kind of curmudgeon-y. Like
Yeah.
he's kind of like I'm funny, I'm like really dry about it. You're gonna deal with what I have to say. I am a king.
yeah, I am king
Meow.
to
Meow.
yeah, like
hot,
meow. Yeah.
No,
Maybe it was meow coming from the ladies watching. Like
Like,
meow. What a
I'm
hottie. Yeah.
sure that's what it is, but
I
I'm
hope
like...
so, but it still felt wrong.
It should have been on like... I don't know, what's a female magazine that talks...
Cosmo.
Cosmo, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
the ones that talk about sex?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That would have been better, but yeah, that was funny.
Anyway, if you want to like read a really good opinion piece on that, Comic Book Resources had a great one. I put a link to it on our Geek Girl Authority page.
Ooh, who wrote it?
But
we don't know.
I don't remember. I don't have it written down. But it's up there if you want to go read it for yourself. It's a very good piece. Also, in that same space, there's details on the big hero fight scene that are in the film. It's a spoiler, so I'm not going to talk about it because I would rather just watch it unfold. I know that it happens. I know that it probably happens a few times.
Yeah.
I don't need to read about it. I did, just so I knew. But it's on the website if you want to go look. Also, the Sokovia Accords with the Marvel Phase 2 box set that came out. They have the page of the Sokovia Accords that all of the Avengers are supposed to sign, and it has the language there of like, hey, here's what you're supposed to do. It's actually like reading the legalese of what the Accords would say and everything is actually like, oh, that's what Captain America's fighting against. So
Really?
It's pretty cool.
I kind of don't want to get into it because it could be kind of a mild spoiler for people. But it is it's on our Geek Girl Authority webpage if you want to go read it for yourself. I literally read it and was like, oh yeah, Captain America would absolutely fight against that.
Wow.
Yeah, that sucks. Okay.
I feel like we can let the readers decide if they go read it and we want to talk about it in a later episode.
Yeah.
Then we can address it.
Yeah, let us know. Like, go read it if you think it's not a spoiler and you want to hear our opinions on it and
Yeah.
everything. Please let us know because I would love to actually talk about it, but I'm being very sensitive to possible spoilers.
Yeah,
so.
totally fair.
Thor Ragnarok, just a little bit of news. Stephanie Folsom.
It's a musical.
Stephanie
It's a big
Folsom.
scoop. Thor's gonna be a musical.
Oh my god, I'd watch that.
Oh, I'd watch that in a
so
heartbeat.
hard.
Like Hugh Jackman and Thor, like Les Mis.
Now
meets-
I'm mad that I don't
I
have
want that in my life so
I
bad.
want the next Wolverine movie to be.
I've wanted a
musical.
Wolverine musical for years.
Oh my.
Since Hugh Jackman was cast, and I
Yeah.
found out he was a musical guy. I've been like, man.
There's
Old
that
Man
YouTube.
Logan, the
yeah.
musical.
The Hellfire Club, just like being a jazz band, like the Moulin
gosh.
Rouge Hellfire Club
Yes.
meets like Les Mis is Hugh Jackman going through
Or
the
like
arc
West-
of Weapon X, and like Weapon X, he's
No,
like,
you have seen.
It's West Side Story. That's how
And
you
it
do
really-
Hellfire
It's so
Club,
big.
yeah.
It's so
Have
good.
you seen Wolverine the Musical YouTube sketch?
it's amazing.
It is the best thing.
Really?
Yes,
I gotta look that
It's
up.
the
That's
best
rad.
thing.
Him opening the
online.
Oscars and just singing the
I
word
know.
Wolverine was as close as I'm gonna get, but I need it.
Still.
Anyway, the news for Thor Ragnarok is that Stephanie Folsom is now working on the script. So it was originally Christopher Yost and Craig Kyle wrote the script. They've brought her in. She's a 2013 Blacklist writer.
Oh wow.
So she's a very well received writer. She was hired to write Disney's The Princess of North Sudan. Don't know anything about it, but she was hired to write it. And the Blacklist script that she had was 1969, A Space Odyssey, or How Kubrick Learned to Stop Worrying and Land on the Moon.
That sounds so up my
Yeah.
Do
alley.
you want to know what that movie's about?
Yeah.
It is literally, the script, I don't know if it's being made or optioned or whatever. The script itself, from what I understand from our good friend Matt Altman, is,
guy.
he's a great guy, is about the Kubrick making 2001.
Oh,
it would be, it's not a
nice.
documentary,
Yeah.
it's a fictionalized
version
of Kubrick
awesome.
making 2001. So
I need it.
anyway, they're bringing her on, and it sounds like she's got like equal parts like fantasy and sort of like maybe a lighthearted like historical look at things. So, yeah. I haven't read any of her stuff, so I can't really say why they're bringing her in. But it sounds like with something like The Princess of North Sudan.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about the tone of this movie. Thor.
I know.
The
Yeah.
director being so comedy based, and like I always felt that Thor was the one character they could have comedy in the dry sense because that's the character, and have like
Yeah.
this epic scope Game of Thrones, and now they're going like full bore
Yeah.
comedy. It's really interesting because we don't
Especially
have
with
that.
the title like Ragnarok. How
Right.
would you go comedy with
It's very
this?
interesting. I'm excited. It's just really weird.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how. You want to hear how?
Musical.
You bring in Ego. You bring in Ego the Living Planet.
Oh my god.
He is originally a Thor character.
It's
He was
true.
introduced in
In
Thor,
it.
like
Oh
in Journey.
my
I think it
God.
was Journey into Mystery where he first came in. I would kill to have Ego in a movie.
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah.
why I was losing my mind in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I thought that was
Oh, I
Ego,
know, that would be so cool.
I would be
That would've
okay
been
with
awesome.
this.
Yeah.
Just bring in Ego.
Ben Foster for Ego.
Okay,
Ben Foster.
whatever. I don't guess. Just
Peter Dinklage for Ego.
Oh my god.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
So
Right?
good.
Now, try and see in that.
Oh man,
You
I can hear his voice just so upset about being a planet. Just
wait.
so upset.
So actually, Ragnarok is just Ego, the planet.
Oh, yeah, the whole
that's
thing.
it. That's
I'm
it. That's
excited.
all.
In it.
Ragnarokin.
Yeah,
Yeah, anyway, I think that would be awesome.
Are you
I'm with you,
practicing
Matt.
for your
Awesome.
dad jokes?
That's still the musical Ragnarok, and it's
Yeah,
still my
Ragnarok.
world.
For those of you who don't know, Ego the Living Planet is very literally a living planet. Yeah.
yeah.
And his name is Ego.
Because why not?
And he's a planet with a face.
Peter Dinklage. Now I need it. I need
Yep.
that.
Peter Dinklage as Ego.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing Destiny 2. He just says Game of Thrones, so
Yeah.
you know.
Mary Marvelites, if you want to Photoshop Peter Dinklage as Ego the Living
won't
Planet,
be upset.
Yeah.
I'll
Show it on air.
show it on air and we will
Frame it,
sing
put it
your
in my
house.
praises. Yep. I would love
Go
to
by
see
my
that.
bedside.
So real quick, Ant-Man and the Wasp news. Peyton Reed promises that more Michael Douglas will, as Hank Pym, will return.
Okay.
Nothing big. And he also didn't know if that even meant different eras or flashbacks or whatever else. He was just like, no, we're gonna have more Michael Douglas.
No, he was cool. He was great in it. So
I loved him as Hank Pym, like this curmudgeon-y old like I used to be a superhero, now I'm not. What is life? Like, yeah, I loved it.
I wish that's how he was. That would have been actually really awesome. I would have.
That's my Michael Douglas
It's a
impression.
it's a very strong Michael Douglas. It's a very like curmudgeon.
Well, I'm a voiceover actor, you guys, so I don't know if you knew that about me. Let's talk about Carl Lucas. Oh, I'm sorry. You guys know him as Luke Cage. Luke Cage. Let's talk Luke Cage. Let's jump over to Netflix. Sonia Braga has been cast as Soledad Temple in Luke Cage. Soledad is a character that does not exist in the comic books, but she is cast in this show as Claire Temple's mother.
Okay.
Rosario Dawson's character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which says to me that Rosario Dawson will have a bit of a larger role in Luke Cage. Which makes sense because Claire Temple was introduced in Luke Cage as a love interest for Luke Cage. So,
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
think she's great.
oh, she's perfect in that role too.
Makes me wonder if Luke Cage will take place though after Jessica Jones.
Well, it would have to because
Yeah.
they hadn't met in Jessica Jones.
Who?
I know the answer to that.
Who? What?
I'm not supposed to.
Wait, what do you mean?
No,
Luke
we're getting into spoiler territory.
Okay.
When we get to the end of the episode.
When we get to Jessica Jones, we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay.
I don't.
I know. I'll shut up.
I don't want you to.
You've upset the Meredith.
I just don't want to spoil anything.
Okay, let's go into the news. Because I want to talk about Jessica Jones.
I know, we're trying to get through it. New pics were released also for Luke Cage. They just came out today, so I just ran through them and did my best to find some. But the one that we want to focus on, and I know this is for Meredith, is that we get to see... you know what? Just take it. Just take it,
Guys,
Meredith.
look. There's Luke Cage, and there's wonderful Rosario Dawson. And look, there's Misty Knight! Look, it's Misty, guys! I've been wanting that for so long! You don't see a metal arm, but it could be there. I don't know who the other guy is.
The other guy is Frank Whaley, who plays Detective Scarf, who is Misty's
partner.
partner.
Okay, so this is
Detective
probably gonna
partner.
be pre-arm, and this is where she's still a detective and not a hero for hire.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so just seeing this lit my day up. I'm so stoked.
No, I remember seeing your Twitter page. I was like, oh, there's new Luke Cage pictures?
I'm so stoked because, I was like jonesing for Misty, and then we got confirmation, and now this, and this is great.
Can you tell our listeners a little bit about Misty Knight?
So basically, Misty Knight is part of the Heroes for Hire clique. She pals around with kind of the whole like Luke Cage and Iron Fist crew, and she's super powered, former detective. It's hard for me to kind of go into the backstory right now because my mind is erasing. I warned you before the show to not put me on the spot with too many
I didn't
things.
mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's cool. They rebooted Heroes for Hire in the mid 2000s. They kind of gave her own comic. She teamed up with a couple other superheroes, and it was a really fantastic run. I actually didn't know much about the character prior to that, and I just fell in love with her during that run, and she's just kind of strong. I will say, she's kind of a bit of a stereotype in the comic, given there's like a bit of a 70s flair to her, but she's just so strong and so badass. And for me, it was great to see a portrayal of like a really badass black woman in comics, and that wasn't just Storm, because it's kind of like, cool, I love Storm, but it's nice to see more, female women of color in comics, and Misty Knight was really someone awesome. And I think, having her come into the Nick Cage universe is going to be fantastic. I'm really excited about just what they're going to do with her and give her an origin story, because I personally just want to see a greater Heroes for Hire story told. And everyone's excited about Defenders. I just personally want Heroes for Hire, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Defenders is going to be Heroes for Hire, and I think it will end up having like the four core characters, the titular characters, but then I think it'll also be fleshed out with Misty Knight.
Why am I blanking on her partner's name? The other chick from the...
Colleen Wing?
Colleen Wing, thank you.
The Daughters of the Dragon. And hopefully we'll get our Iron Fist and everything, and hopefully Colleen Wing will be in that, and then she'll end up in Heroes for Defenders.
Oh, that'd be a great way to introduce Colleen Wing, would be in Iron Fist, actually.
That's his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got that picture, and we also see that there's a van or a truck or a Suburban or something steaming behind it with Luke Cage standing there. So you just know that Luke Cage was just like, bull, like just blew it up. But we've got some other pictures up on our website, like Luke Cage with what's her name, Mariah. I can't remember her last name as in the movie, but she's kind of standing in the background looking at Luke. And then we've got some more spoilery sorts of things if you want to go look at that. So anyway, but yeah, I love this picture. We've got it up. It shows Luke Cage and Rosario Dawson having like fun on set, like they're just like together and having fun. So I really think like at the end of Jessica Jones, I really wonder, and that's Mariah. God, what's that actress's name? I wrote it down. Alfre Woodard, Mariah Dillard. But I think that I think Luke Cage like ends up kind of having a thing for Night Nurse a little bit. I think
makes sense.
we're
Like a
gonna see
reverse
that
in the
Luke
comics
Cage,
because they dated before Jessica Jones in the comics. It'd be cool if they dated after.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna play the long game on Luke Cage and Jessica Jones' relationship.
I think they should. I mean, keep it interesting.
Yes.
You don't want to just have things work.
And they did that in Alias. Like that's in the comic book. That's
And
how
they
did
ended it. The spoilers for Jessica Jones really well with that. We'll get to that. But like they ended that love idea well.
Well, what I would like to see too, because in the comic book world, Jessica goes on a couple dates with Scott Lang.
Yeah.
And I'd
That'd be
actually
cool.
like to kind of see that happen.
Just Paul Rudd on Netflix. Like,
Oh my god.
I know.
So real quick, let's talk about Iron Fist, where Jeff Loeb said, here's the basic gist of what he said. It's moving forward. It's moving forward as a television show, and news is going to come soon. So probably like not this year, but probably January, February, we'll probably start getting a little bit more news on Iron Fist.
It's just they probably want to take their time with it. They probably looked at the reaction to Jessica Jones. They're probably thinking, how can we expand this more? I think, Marvel has a great idea of what they want, and they're probably looking, how can we make this bigger and better? I don't think they take Iron Fist away because honestly, if they're looking to do more mystical stuff with Doctor Strange, they're probably saying, how far can we go with Iron Fist?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're taking it step by step. They're playing it like they're not being cautious, but they're just being wary. Like what is our audience like? What do they not like? Like let's give them what they want.
Maybe they're even looking for a bigger budget so we can get more of the.
And also, you're going to try to figure out the tone, like what the audience is like. Like Marvel seems to read what people write, and they seem to care about like the feedback. So I think getting a tone for Daredevil, getting the tone for Jessica Jones is going to move forward how they shape. I mean, clearly they're shaping Luke Cage in a very specific way. So I think it's smart to wait until you know what you're doing before you do it. I mean, Fantastic Four happened, you guys. Forever. That's a thing that is tangible forever. That is a thing you can put in a DVD player if you're making questionable life choices. Forever. So I think it's smart of Marvel to be like, hey, we don't have news yet because we're thinking. Because when you think, you make good choices. So I think I mean, there's nothing to worry about. It's not out yet. It's not supposed to be out yet. There's no delays. It's not like we've had a bunch of actors or directors drop and pop in and out. It's a thing that's going to go well. People should stop stressing. I know it's exciting, but it's good.
I think that's why we're all stressing, because we want to know, like, who's Danny Rand? I want to know what's so bad, like. I don't, but Marvel doesn't even know. Like,
right,
they
I
have
think
a
there's
better
no
idea
rush.
of it than we do, but like
I hope so.
But yeah, so anyway, let's jump over to television real quick, where we're starting to get our first sneak peeks at Agent Carter. By the way, her premiere date was pushed back from January 12th to January 19th because of Obama's State of the Union address.
Okay, yeah.
So they didn't want to be like, competing with Obama is Agent Carter.
Probably.
For America.
Yeah.
As awesome as it would be when the Nielsen ratings came back the next day and was like, wow, Agent Carter beat Obama. But they moved that back. But the trailers for her series, starring Haley Atwell and James Darcy is Edwin Jarvis. James Darcy. Like it's like the most British name you can have. It's Darcy, other than Cumberbatch. Like Cumberbatch and Darcy is like. It's like a fanfic waiting to happen.
I'm sure it's out there, man.
I was gonna say, I think
DeviantArt
it's
right now.
Yeah. Just Google it, man.
Google it. But we can see there's lots of great footage of her like just kicking ass, and she gets like a super secret spy car that's probably like a predecessor or a precursor to Lola.
I just really hope they have
Coulson's car.
their whole trailer campaign be "Thanks, Obama." Like we had to push our dates, now the premiere's here. Thanks, Obama. I'd really enjoy that.
And that makes me wonder if like they're going to push back Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. any, because that usually comes a week or two after Agent Carter wraps. So whatever. Anyway, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Do you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Whitney?
Nope.
It's okay. It's okay.
Is it good? Should I be?
I have fallen in love with it, especially this season. I like the first season was it was okay. It was kind of mostly watchable. The second season was great, but this third season has been
It's good.
bonkers.
Great.
It's been bonkers.
I'm behind
really
2
loved it.
episodes, but you can talk about it. I just haven't watched them.
No,
so.
I'm just gonna say like this week's episode of Closure. That was the title. It was amazing, and now we've got people. Well, I kind of don't want to give spoilers, but like
No, it's fine. I've read the reviews. Because I've been keeping up with it, and I really like it. Just because being out of town, I wasn't able to watch it at my mom's or anything.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't had time to DVR it because Jessica Jones. So
I got you.
But yeah, go ahead and talk about it.
Nah, it's all right.
Oh, okay.
We want to talk Jessica Jones and Civil War, so that's what the.
We can talk about all the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. next week.
Yeah, we'll do that. And you know what, fans, if you have questions that you want to ask me directly about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., tweet at me. I'll answer them. I'll make the time. Let's give a couple quick shout outs. Sharkticon says that he just started listening to our podcast. 57th episode was his first, and I wanted to welcome him. So at Dutch Sharks fan, welcome to Marvel Movie News.
Nice.
We're glad to have you.
Hello.
And also Nathan Coomer has been watching us since the first show. He's been with us all 60.
So cool, man.
And he just started reading comics again, like just within like the last month or two.
That's so rad.
Welcome back.
And he said that his favorite comic so far has been Doctor Strange, but he likes Daredevil, Punisher, Spider-Man, and the Avengers, and he wants to know what other recommendations we would have for him based on that. So I would like to tell you All New, All Different by Mark Waid. That Avengers run it's only 2 issues in, and it's been fantastic. I'm loving it so far. Mark Waid's Daredevil was fun, but it felt a little off tone. Like I would suggest going back and reading like the Frank Miller stuff.
See, I'm not digging the all new, all different Mark Waid Avengers at all. Like
I like it so far.
I've been not liking it.
Why not?
It's just it felt forced when I got the preview copy of it. I didn't read. Maybe I should read the second one because when I
will say the second one has Nova and Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I saw the
relationship stuff, which is cute.
Okay.
And then it has Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales, surfing on Iron Man's back.
That's cute.
And I was like, wait,
All
he's
things I
surfing
want.
on Iron Man's back? I'm on board for this.
Okay.
Like, well done,
I'll
Mark
give it
Waid.
another shot.
Yeah. I also love the Ultimates. That they
Yeah,
just
and
released
Ultimates
where,
is
like,
good.
They're only 1 issue into that, so like it's really difficult to do all new, all different bad right now because like every book has been mostly
I'm just like
good. So.
looking at those. Gosh, the stuff with like anything that ties in with Old Man Logan coming back would kind of go good with that
Oh
lineup.
yeah, that's his Extraordinary X-Men.
Extraordinary X-Men would be good with that. And
what's a good Punisher book? I'm not as familiar with Punisher. Coy, do you know any good Punisher books? I know
Punisher
Rucka's run on it
War
was
Journal
great. Yeah,
was cool. Whenever John Romita Jr. was on the art, it tended to be good because he draws a good Punisher. He's tricky, man. He's really I like Punisher when he pops up in other stuff.
Yeah.
His Max lines are really good, like Garth Ennis's Punisher.
yeah.
Ennis
That's
is
where I'd go.
great.
I'd go
Good.
Garth Ennis's Punisher.
Yeah,
I would
well
read
done.
anything in the Max lines, honestly, because Jessica Jones is what
Max
started it all with the Max
Yeah.
series, and the Nick Fury stuff was great.
I'd start with Garth Ennis, I think.
The only thing I'm not digging is the Civil War or the Captain America Max stuff, like the red, white, blue
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it's a
not
weird
very
way to why go art of Cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very strange character to be
Yeah.
like, you know who's gritty and dark?
Yeah, that's
America's
only-
Boy Scout.
Not really digging that one. But yeah, check out any of the Marvel Max stuff. It's definitely aimed at 17 and older, grittier storytelling, but it works. It's very grounded.
But all of you Merry Marvel Lions out there, if you have any good Daredevil, Punisher, Spider-Man, or Avengers opinions to share with Nathan Coomer, please do. He is at N.A. Coomer, Coomer. Just let him know. Let him
These
know what
aren't
you think.
any of those things, but Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Aw,
reading
it's
real
so
hard.
cute.
It's
It's
so
so
good.
good. It's
So
really
cute.
good. I'm loving it.
Not too gritty or dark, but
No.
still good.
Oh,
Still good. Very good.
the new Vision.
Oh, the new Vision is...
That second issue.
I haven't read the second issue yet.
I liked Deadpool Thanos a lot. I don't know if you guys read that. It like deals with multiple continuities and deals with the concept of reality, and like it's basically them hunting death because Deadpool and Death had a relationship and Thanos loves death, and it's them two like having to team up because like of death, and it's like super abstract and there's like cosmic elements of like the Marvel universe, and Deadpool's like dealing with like these giant entities, and he's like, I'm Deadpool. It's good. Check it
Yeah.
out.
Sounds rad.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Awesome.
It's super
I'm gonna read
abstract
that.
and weird.
Yeah.
And like Thanos having to talk to Deadpool is like a peer just drives him crazy. So it's this buddy cop thing, but with Thanos and Deadpool.
God.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
writing
Okay.
that down right
Imagine
now.
Murtaugh as Thanos and Riggs as Deadpool. Right?
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Check it out.
All right. I'm on. Do we have any iTunes reviews?
Are we there already?
Coy Boy? Yeah.
Yeah,
We got some
'cause-
quick shout outs, and then we're going to talk Jessica Jones and Civil War. Give the people what these, give these good people what they want.
All right. I had a bunch of comic stuff written down. I totally didn't know we were already here. I'm so sorry, guys.
Dude, it's okay. It's okay. We can come back to you if you need to get that prepped.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk Jessica Jones.
Luke Cage. Meow.
Way to call that. So Luke Cage.
Yeah.
You were on board for Luke Cage.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that I'm not on board with, frankly, in that show. I think it's amazing. I have to say, my elder sister who used to tease me constantly about liking comic books, over Thanksgiving weekend, I was like, dude, just watch Jessica Jones. She watched it in 2 days and is like, I'm gonna watch Deadpool now.
Yeah.
And then the next logical step is, I want to read a comic book now.
Nice.
I'm really excited. I feel like I'm converting her slowly.
Aw, good work.
awesome.
It's so good. It's just like how I think they did it right. I want to know. I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the change they made in her and Kilgrave's relationship? In that they did have sex and they brought that into the TV relationship, because I know in the comic that was never the thing. It was the opposite. Do you guys? Because I liked it. I was not mad at it at all. But
I know a lot of people actually brought up just how much sex in general the show had. It didn't bother me, and especially on the Jessica level, because it grounded. Because for some people, you need the physical rape aspect to get them to understand how bad, like, mental abuse is.
Yeah.
Because obviously the whole book of Alias, or just Jessica Jones' time with Kilgrave, is an extension of being raped, even if it's just a mental rape. So having that physical rape there, I think, drove that point home, and I think that's okay to have.
Yeah.
Because it does make it more digestive for some people to understand that might not understand, like, what it's like to be emotionally and mentally abused by someone.
I think you're totally right. And, I loved that aspect of the comic, how she was like, no, he just made me watch and drove me crazy. I really, really liked that, because I tend to really hate when rape is used as a plot device.
Same.
But I think it worked for the show. I'm not mad at it.
No, it's one of the few things that I'm like, wow, rape is a plot device and you used it well. Like, that's the one thing is I get on to too many people who they're like, oh, you can't use rape ever. I'm like, no, it should be used, done, and well, and with purpose. And this is one of the times that this is how it should be done.
That conversation, not to spoil too much, but that conversation they have is just, I think anybody who's ever been in a bad or abusive relationship can relate, which makes him like the scariest villain. I think Kilgrave is one of the scariest villains of all time.
Yeah, because
he's real. Ugh.
Yeah, that's really what it was. I mean, everything from Smile to just how he got inside people's heads. I mean, it's like, take the mental powers away and he's still a real life villain.
Yeah. And that's, I think the scariest part is I caught myself sympathizing a couple times, and then we get so mad at myself because it's like, no, he's terrible. Like, why do I think this? But it's
But the show does a great job where they start to build up sympathy, and then they do an even better job of reminding you, no, he is a terrible, terrible person.
Yes.
Yeah, like I one of the. By the way, we should give everyone the spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be talking.
It's been 2 weeks.
It's
2 full
it has
weeks.
been, but we're.
Spoiler alert!
I don't miss that.
Spoiler alert!
Brian Markinson, how are you doing all of that?
I just a man
that's
of many voices.
amazing.
Even the sounds with it.
You truly are magical.
Ventriloquist magic.
By the way, just a bit about Brian Markinson real quick. He's a magician at the Magic Castle, which is he's the best magician.
He's a magic.
So,
Yes.
anyway,
There are so many bunnies in here and just one hat. I don't know how it's happening. It's crazy.
and all the bunnies are doing close-up card tricks.
Yeah, it's like really impressive. They're actually the sounds that you're hearing. That was all.
Tiny little bunnies.
It's all bunnies.
Boop, boop, boop. No, the moment that scared me the most was when he realized he could be a hero.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no. I mean,
know.
yes, but no. But no. Like, I didn't know how to process that. Like, that episode confused me, and I think it was supposed to. Like, I think you're supposed to feel conflicted for him at that point.
Well, it was Hollywood doing, or not Hollywood, but the writers of Jessica Jones showing, because, we have so many television shows that give us that, like, weird villain who we love, like Walter White in that case. And how many shows are like, we're rooting for the villain? They want you to show us like how screwed up that is.
Yeah.
For me, the episode where the show turned around was the episode that was so focused on him. It didn't do the full Kingpin thing where it was just him, but the episode where he gets the house. And it ends with him getting the house. The next episode, the one where he's in the house with Jessica, is my favorite episode because it was like episode 5, I believe. That's when the show really turned around. The first 4 episodes, I was liking it, but not loving it.
Really?
I thought it was it was well paced, but it was just not my speed.
It was a slow build.
And I'm okay with that to a point, but at times I was like, I get the noir thing, I get the jazz, but I'm also like shiny objects a lot.
Yeah.
And that's bad. It's my problem, but it's just how I felt. And I liked Daredevil's pacing better. But after that episode, the show took a turn that really, it made it a psychological study. And it was this amazing cat and mouse mental game. And then after that, they upped the nuke factor. Then they upped the Trish factor. And then it just, it became this like house of cards. So the first 4 was like here. And then once it started stacking, I was like, oh, okay, this was so worth it. So I really loved the show. I think it was a stronger medium than any of the movies get the chance to do, because I wouldn't give any movie that much chance. I wouldn't give the leeway of the first hour of a movie being like I couldn't.
Yeah.
So I thought this had a very unique ability to draw me in, keep me there, and then be like, ah! So I loved it. I thought it was really special.
I mean, Trish is
She was
such a
great.
good character.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all so wonderful and nuanced. I think that I loved all the Kilgrave heavy episodes just because it's such a good study in what it makes a villain.
Yeah.
It's so nuanced, and it makes you, like Matt, you were saying, it makes you feel conflicted about
Yeah.
things. And Trish, I just love. I really hope there's Hellcat.
Yes.
I just loved her background and like the stories where they did flashbacks and her mother, like the puking. Oh my
God.
god! That's
all the
so-
parents in the show, like the parents,
Yeah.
Kilgrave's parents, like that episode
Everyone's
with them, like
Yeah.
like every time he used his powers, it was in such a clever way, and it was so like budget driven in such a smart way. Like it was like, oh, that is a very cheap way to show true terror.
Yeah.
Like staring at the fence was terrifying.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
That required a
Yeah.
man to stare at a fence.
Yeah.
That's the
And
thing.
like the fact that like he peed his pants.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when you see him like a few hours later, he's like terrified. Like
crazy.
you can tell he wants to move and he just can't. Like,
And that use of that power was so much smarter than the stuff they could have done.
Yeah.
Like that was a
Yeah.
every time he used his powers, I was like, good. Like it was so smart.
Yeah.
Like the guy destroying the body, like putting it down the disposal. Why wouldn't that guy? Like that
Yeah.
makes so much sense. And what a horrifying thing to walk in on. Like there was so much Dexter stuff. So much like there was just
know.
it was great. I loved it.
and the
Whitney,
way-
sorry,
on.
Whitney, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say that part of why I love Kilgrave so much is because he's not interested in being like taking over the world.
That's what I
He's-
was just gonna say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that makes him so much scarier because he's just like kind of an asshole. And he's
Yeah.
just like, I mean, he's a huge asshole actually.
Yeah.
But he just wants what he wants and acts like a petulant child and like
'Cause
reacts emotionally.
What's
and,
more
like,
spoiled than someone
yeah.
who doesn't know what not getting their way is?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
more spoiled than that? That's the ultimate child
I
forever.
like have chills talking about it.
And like just going along with that, like when he shows up to buy the house and he's like, he realizes he could make this man say yes. He could make this man just move his
Right.
entire family without paying him anything.
Yeah.
But he wants to be above board. He wants to see if he can do this. Like I was like,
And for
I
15
felt
seconds, he's so
Yeah.
bored because like he's like,
Yeah.
I'm talking to someone. Ugh.
yeah.
Like that was
Yeah.
amazing, and their dinner and that neighbor and the way I loved the neighbor moment. I loved the neighbor
Yeah.
came across and was mean to Jessica, and he
Oh
just
my
made her feel
God.
awful, and was just
Yeah.
like, "Isn't it great to make people do what you want?" And I was like,
It's
"It is."
It felt kind of good.
It was amazing.
And then you had that moment with Jessica where she was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
And the hero stuff, like you said, I love that scene. That action set piece of the like making him a hero was brilliant.
God.
I-
Because there was a moment that I'm like, okay, I can,
Yeah.
okay. And I'm like, come on, Jessica, why don't you just do this?
Give him a chance.
I know.
Give David Tennant a chance. Like whenever I was sympathetic, I was like
Yeah.
David Tennant, and then I was like,
Like,
ugh,
come
Kilgrave,
on.
and I was mad.
Yeah.
Like I caught myself doing like David Tennant's so great. No, he's Kilgrave. He's Batman.
Brittany saw a couple tweets from people saying that like Doctor Who's never going to be the same for them again whenever they go
Oh,
back
I
and
saw
watch David
that.
Tennant, because it's like, wait, were the companions actually choosing to be companions?
Oh,
Like,
oh, speaking
So
of, there
funny.
was such a
So
good,
funny.
there was such a good like little Doctor Who reference. There's one point where Jessica says, "You're not 10 anymore." Like saying like you're not 10 years old, but you're also not
That's
10 anymore.
really funny.
I was like, oh.
Told them
Fantastic.
not to blink.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was so many moments. Like, that show is so good.
that's
I still think I
funny.
liked Daredevil more, objectively.
Really?
I think Daredevil worked for me on different levels, and that's only because it's my favorite of any Marvel enterprise. So I'd say this is in the top 5. But I the jumping stuff didn't work for me. Her use of powers sometimes felt cheap, and that's not their fault necessarily. I just I didn't always buy it. Whereas Daredevil, I loved all the fights. I loved when you were in his head seeing his powers. Whereas Jessica, like when she'd move stuff and it'd like move a little extra, I was like,
I will say some of the fighting, like I'm like, you didn't even touch that and it moved. Like there was some really cheap looking.
But the fact that I'm being this nitpicky means it was a great show.
Yeah.
Like it was an A show. I'm literally finding stuff.
I
like
will say I loved the acting in Jessica Jones way more than Daredevil.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
But oh god, like
I mean,
great, both
it's
of them
still-
are
it's
great.
apples and
I
oranges.
can't
I
wait,
love both apples and oranges.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say that this is probably my favorite Marvel property to date.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's in my 5.
Guardians.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
say-
gonna
I
be
would say
Jessica
5. I would
Jones,
say 5.
Guardians.
Yeah.
Daredevil, Guardians, Cap,
I'm not
Winter
even,
Soldier.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah, those are just the 3,
It's
and then
just
Jess
so
was like 4 or
good.
5. Yeah, it was great.
I read, which actually may have been one of the first Marvel series I've read all the way through, was I
Alias?
read Alias right before the show. And I loved it. I was a little worried at first because sometimes those comics can feel a little dated
Sure.
with the art and sometimes the one-liners, but it was fantastic. And anybody, like, there's so much to read in Marvel. I feel like it's hard to go back and like read these classic ones, but if anybody is out there that hasn't read it, it's such a good comic.
It's a very good comic.
so good.
Luke Cage, every time he was on screen.
Oh
Mike
my
Coulter
gosh.
was
Oh.
impossibly
Yes.
charming.
When there was a moment where he was on the Harley and Jessica Jones just like reaches her hand around him. At that moment, I realized if the Luke Cage series has one episode where it's very literally just Luke Cage driving around on a Harley for an hour and like every 4 or 5 minutes just looking up at a building going, "Sweet Christmas." No plot, no story. I
it. It's all you
will
need.
watch the living F out of an hour of him on his Harley just going, "Sweet Christmas." Like,
He was
Beautiful man.
so good, man.
Woof.
what?
Meow.
That's what
Is it?
yeah,
no,
meow.
Meow, come on.
He gets
Meow.
Wolf and Black Panther
he gets
gets Meow.
Meow.
Yeah.
The scene with him on fire.
Yes.
And like episode 7 or 8, I remember I watched it with Shelby, and I was like, I love in the comics when he goes to the hospital and he can't, like, no one can treat him.
Yeah.
And then like 2 episodes later, I was like, it's a thing that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like when it happened, like the stakes were so high. Night Nurse was there. It tied in. I mean, I wanted Daredevil there the whole time. There was no part of my brain that wasn't like, is he in the corner? Is she in the alley? Like I was waiting and it didn't happen. It's fine. But like when Night Nurse came in, it was extra exciting because it hadn't happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole hospital scene was incredible.
I also gotta say that I appreciated the first line of the series being the first line of the comic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
There was a lot of those
Great.
moments.
There's a lot of little extra sweets for you.
Yeah, just and even
sweets
the
and
way they
treats.
kind of changed around some of the characters and stories. I loved Malcolm a lot.
Malcolm was
He was
great.
so
Malcolm was great.
wonderful.
Oh.
What about Hogarth?
I know. I
She's-
love
yeah,
what they.
she's fantastic.
I love what they did with Hogarth, and just like even like the way I think the story they ended up doing with Hope. I think that was kind of a nice little throwback to like that first case she took in the comics. I thought that was a nice way to modernize it and really make it a central plot. And then just the way like, okay, and you're as an actor, I hope you appreciate this as much as I did, but literally seeing a foul-mouthed, drunken, private eye lady made me so happy.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Because I grew up like watching a lot of like just AMC classic films, and I'm like, I want to be that when I grow up. Like, I want to be a drunken, swearing, like private eye detective on a film, but you don't see that role for a woman.
My biggest worry with it was people would dismiss it as being like, oh, she's edgy, we
Yeah.
get it. But they made such a good job layering her and making her vulnerable, and it's so good.
I loved it. I just loved that
She was
portrayal.
real.
Yeah,
was
no, she
real.
was so
Like,
real.
It was like it wasn't this over the like beating over the head of, oh, she's tough and she's a lady.
Yeah.
Wink.
Yeah,
It
there was
just
none of that.
There was none of that. It was you took for granted that she was tough.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
just happened to be a lady. So who
Yeah.
cares?
And there were
Like,
tons of
like-
tiny Easter eggs. Like the show was very anti-big Easter egg. Like
Yeah.
the guy going through the window from Alias. The,
Yes.
the Captain America suit kid running to the park.
that was so
Yeah.
precious.
I was like,
yeah.
they
So
white tiger being
White
mentioned.
Tiger,
like that
Angela
was
Bassett.
that was incredible. They're freaking out in the thread about it. Like White Tiger being mentioned was like they were all very subtle, very small. So it felt like it was in Marvel, but it didn't feel like we were forced to be
Yeah.
in Marvel. And I love that.
Do you think that we'll get Angela Del Toro in the future, like in a future episode? Like
I think
maybe
we
she'll
could, but
be
I don't
in
think we
Iron
have
Fist or
to.
something?
Yeah,
I think it's a
think-
great way to have that as an option.
Yeah.
I think Nuke is important. I think
Yeah,
Nuke's
I
going to be
think-
incredible.
Nuke, I didn't know about,
No?
and is a great character.
So great.
I like him so
The
much.
anti-Captain
I have a
America.
theory actually for so everyone I've seen a lot of people saying that Punisher is going to be the big bad for Daredevil 2. I don't think so. I actually think Nuke is going to come back for season 2 of Punisher or of
Oh.
Daredevil. Daredevil and Punisher have to team up against Nuke because Nuke is primarily a Punisher or a Daredevil and Punisher villain.
I see him as like the combination of
Yeah.
Captain America and Punisher. is
Exactly.
Nuke.
So I can really see Nuke coming into Daredevil season 2, and that's who Punisher and Daredevil team up against to take out.
That would
Yeah,
be so
I
bad.
liked
Yeah.
Nuke in it. I
I
thought
mean,
it
Nuke,
really
No,
Nuke is basically Punisher, but without like a moral compass.
right.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
So-
Can I say something controversial?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
I am going to mention DC, and I'm going to preface this with I am getting an ever-growing respect for DC, and I appreciate DC, so don't get mad. It has a different fan base. It is a different type of medium.
this ties into Jessica
Oh, it
Jones.
does. It does.
Okay.
So I think DC is just different type of fans. Like they're gods versus underdogs. That's the most black and white version. Very remedial way to say it. I thought Jessica Jones earned the kill shot more than Man of Steel.
Oh, yes.
yeah.
So
Definitely.
the fact that they took him out in the same way, I
Yeah.
mean, that's how Zod got taken out. I thought it was really interesting to have a character be taken out in the exact same way as another superhero property less than 2 years ago, or about 2 years ago. But it felt right.
Yeah.
When I watched Man of
Yeah.
Steel, that didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was in character. It didn't feel like it was it felt forced justified. It felt like it was setting up. The plot was trying to get to that point instead of the plot and that being a resolution. So I really liked that Jessica Jones had us earn that moment. And I think it's really important to make that count in comic movies, because if death isn't justified, then we lose all gravity, we lose all foundation reality, and we lose all the moral compass I was talking about superheroes need. And that's the only reason I talk ill of Man of Steel sometimes. And I think BVS is going to fix some of that, because they're really focusing on like the ramifications. But for now, I loved that there was a justification for such a violent act that should be seen as a violent act.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't think that's controversial.
By DC, they get real loud. And I'm just saying I respect you, DC.
But yeah,
I'm just
that's-
saying in this case.
That's what I wanted to actually ask was how did everyone feel about her ultimately killing?
I thought it was justified.
I was happy about it, but I was kind of like, I want another season of him. He's just so good.
Yeah. I felt the
That's a
exact
great
same
villain,
way,
right?
yeah.
When you're like,
Yeah.
come back, main man.
Yeah.
You know what? Thinking about it, like, and talking about it right now, I actually am angrier at Hogarth than I am about Kilgrave.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she is way more, like, her moral compass is more relatable. Being like, how could you do that? Like, do the right thing instead of just like, you're an evil person.
I'm so sad her ex died.
I know.
But I'm so happy that her whole life got screwed. But then Jessica's just like, well, now you have to live to help me. And I'm kind of like it's one of those weird shows that people do bad things for the morally ambiguous reasons. And I think that's okay. And that's why I'm actually like, I'm on board with Jessica killing Kilgrave. I'm on board. Like, yes, ultimately it was for revenge. Yes, it saved people around him or her or the world. Technically she was doing a good thing ultimately, but let's be honest, she did it because she wanted to save herself and her friends. And I think that's okay to show, because we don't really have a lot of that in the Marvel universe, but it exists in the comics. And I think that's important to show that not everyone is a hero as we know them.
I think that's way more true to life too. Decisions are never black and white.
Yeah.
You're always making decisions for personal reasons.
Exactly.
I loved it. I would, speaking truthfully, love to watch another couple episodes just dedicated to Kilgrave trying to be a good guy.
I know,
love
right?
that.
I was like, I could take that as a web
I want
series.
an
Yeah.
HGTV
Yeah.
episode of like him building that house.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
like HGTV, like Kilgrave, like designing this and like being on eBay and like doing remedial stuff, just being like, people. This is how people live. Like I'd watch that show hard.
I will say that my biggest, and this is so nitpicky, my biggest issue with the show that like I left like, oh man, was that I don't feel like I ever got Hellcat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it starts off and she's like, "Oh, I'm a badass. Like, watch out!"
Yeah.
Like the first episode, you're like, "Oh my god!" Like, we're gonna get like Hellcat by episode 5, and then like it what it feels like is that she like ends up encountering Kilgrave and having sort of like similar experiences like PTSD wise that Jessica did. So like that kind of makes her back off. And the one time that we do get her like full on just kicking ass was when she takes the pill from
enhancement
Nuke.
drugs,
and,
yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to see you have to take drugs to be a. I want her to be a badass. Like,
Well, I think
and
that's why-
we see that at the end a little bit. And hopefully we'll like if they're talking about maybe having a sequel, they'll like it hasn't been greenlit. Like I think something came out today where Daredevil was greenlit like 14 days after. Like they're like, we're gonna see
It was like more.
and we're about the same time now, and there's not even talk about it really.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit iffier. It might be a one-shot sort of thing, and they'll just keep bringing
Have her as a
Jessica Jones
character.
back as a character.
I think it
but-
did really well as a show, and I think the most important thing that isn't being talked about, which makes it even more important, is the Carrie-Anne Moss lesbian relationship felt the most real of any TV
Yeah.
Yes.
relationship I've seen in a long time. If you watch Shameless, there's a gay couple that are the best couple on TV, and they're a gay
Like
couple.
your girlfriend's
Oh,
TV show.
hard. no, but there's a gay couple on the show, and it's like this dweeby little guy and like this hard like bro guy, not bro, but like street kid, and they work as the most adorable couple. I loved that this had that as a lesbian couple, but it wasn't overly sexualized. It wasn't a bunch of guys being like, oh, lesbians, and then like they were hot chicks, but it never felt like hot chicks. Like
Yeah.
Carrie-Anne Moss was beautiful, her girlfriends were both beautiful, but no one ever felt like they were pandering to lesbians
Not at
or
all.
to lesbianism. It just felt like a relationship.
No,
and it was beautiful.
Yeah,
And it
it
was great.
portrayed it as real and normal
And
and,
the
what it
1,000
should
cuts
be.
fight.
Oh, God.
It's
Crazy.
terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So
Yeah, that
I'm
was
just like, I
awful.
was really
Yeah.
happy that the show didn't, no one, before Jessica Jones came out, that wasn't like, and the first lesbian relationship in the Marvel U. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't
no.
an issue.
But that's how
it was-
Marvel's always been.
But it's how it should be. And it
I
was
know.
really cool that it wasn't a point on the news. I never saw CNN
Yeah.
talk about it, and that's great, because it was
Yeah.
just real. So I'm really happy
All
that
right,
worked out.
so we've got to wrap up Jessica Jones because now we've got to go talk about the Civil War trailer. Guys, I'm so sorry that we've got this awful chore ahead of us. Final thoughts on Jessica Jones, though, like super fast. Like,
I want to
And-
say I feel like they're making us work for Hellcat because she did go toe to toe and she was like, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
And so if we get another season, I think that that's where it's going. And
I really,
hope so.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
want that so bad. Cool.
I love that we had our first actually morally ambiguous female lead and morally ambiguous villain that truly felt like fleshed out characters, and it's a good sign for what's coming with the rest of the TV stuff.
Yeah, I'm
man.
just excited that we have a show that's addressing real issues like PTSD and abuse and rape and just in everyday issues like just what it's like to be living in New York City. I don't know. I love the show. It's my favorite, probably one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and I want more. Also, they left so many open ends, like that all that paperwork and where Jessica might have gotten her powers. So
Yeah, and I will say that it's damn time that women have like this badass character
Yeah,
to
hell
like.
yeah.
It's not like a sort of like thing to look up to, but it's you're accepting that like we also are like strong in our own right.
Yeah.
Like we're so like anyway,
Yeah.
I'm glad that that's finally coming into the dialogue in a major way, in such a good way, in a beautiful like cinematic way. So. New Civil War trailer came out.
Yeah, it did.
And that's our show. Thanks for everything.
Well, hey guys.
What's up?
Voice of Doom here. Before we move away from Jessica Jones, I want to just let you all know if you did enjoy the show on our sister network, AfterBuzz TV. We've been recapping Jessica Jones, and on Monday, December 14th at 3 p.m., we'll travel. AKA Will Simpson, or he may be known by some other names, will be joining us in studio, and I thought I would make that announcement here on Marvel Movie News.
That
that's
is
so
awesome.
cool.
Getting that in my head made me feel like a superhero for a split second. I was
Just like listening to someone's brain. Oh,
Hello,
yes.
it's Dad.
So yeah, you can find that at AfterBuzz TV on YouTube and iTunes and everything.
Rad.
That's awesome.
That is so cool.
Thanks for that voice of doom, Zach.
Now back to you.
So the Civil War trailer came out. It was amazing.
It was so well paced. It was so smart. It was so many comic moments. It wasn't like it fixed everything I didn't like about that scene in Ant-Man. Remember, that was my only my biggest problem with Ant-Man was like that was one of two of my big problems. But
It was
in
out
this
of
trailer,
context in
Yeah, it was
Ant-Man.
completely
it's just the
out of
tonal
context.
shift I was unprepared for. The
Yeah.
credits was just suddenly like but the trailer oh my god.
Yeah.
And that last fight with the three of them, and the running Black Panther, and the teams, and the superhero movies. I'm just so excited, you guys.
Bill
It
Cosby
looks
all
so good. And the sweaters, and I love Jell-O and Captain America's.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Coy said it.
I
just
know.
couldn't. I watched it 7 times in a row. I usually like am one of those guys that like is like, okay, cool, respect, walk away. Could
Yeah.
not stop. I watched like a TV show worth of that trailer just again.
Yeah.
So good.
In preparation for this show,
Yes.
I realized I hadn't watched the last Captain America movie, and I watched it last night.
Winter Soldier?
The best.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the best.
I missed it, and it's so good. It's like an espionage movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It's a spy
So you just saw Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
like.
That's awesome.
So it's fresh on your head.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm like twice as pumped now because I watched the trailer and I was like, this is cool. I'm gonna watch this. And then I watched Winter Soldier and I was like, oh, I'm so excited. It's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What sold it for me was you see Black Panther running through traffic chasing Bucky, and then you see Captain America keeping up but not catching him. I was
Yeah.
like, oh yes, you were doing Black Panther right. Yes, he's like Captain
Even more
America.
advanced.
Oh, he's Captain America meets Tony Stark.
Right.
He really
And
is.
his
like,
suit reflects that.
Yeah.
His suit looks like Kevlar and
know.
iron. Like it's everything.
Yeah,
But they
it's
still
and he's
have
a
the tribal
ninja.
elements. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's got a lot of tribal flavor while being a ninja, while being Cap Iron Man.
It's
Yeah.
everything you want.
They're always on point with their costumes.
did you have any thoughts, Meredith?
All of them.
You have
I
all of
mean,
them.
I literally
Can you
have
hone
all
in
the
on
thoughts. I mean, from the opening scene with Bucky there, and from Cap saying, "No, we're not going to call Tony. We're not going to involve him," and just to see where like you start to see that mental shift where Cap is, and he's like, I'm starting to pull away from this. I'm starting to pull away from everything, and just see the like everyone back at like Shield headquarters or Avengers Tower, and just getting an idea of where they're going to build up what the Civil War is. It's while the Sokovia Accords come into so much play, it really is a personal battle, and it's Tony versus Cap, and that's where it really comes down to, and that's what the heart of the movie is going to be, and the heart of all Marvel stuff really is, and it's between those two, and that's what I'm so excited about
Yeah.
this. Also Bucky, Bucky.
Bucky getting more time to shine in
know.
this than any movie.
Yeah,
This trailer being the most
I know.
awesome we've seen Bucky, and it's 2 minutes.
yeah.
I think so. Like there was the Black Panther moment for me, but then there was the moment at the very end where like the music was so good, and it's like if you just like sit back and listen to the music, it's just like, oh, this is so Civil War. This is so good. But what I loved about the end was the way that the music crescendoed with that one like very strong emotional moment where you hear Captain say. It's like something along the lines of, "It's not personal. He's a friend, and I'm sorry."
And then
I used to be.
Yeah.
And Tony's like, "We used to be friends," and like
With the black eye?
Yeah.
He's got a black eye the whole
I
trailer?
know.
like his eyes look red, like he's furious, but like sad at the same time. I was just like,
He's earning that island money, man.
"Oh,
And I'm also
yeah, he is."
like, when did you? I mean, like, you two were friends, but it's really you and Bruce, Tony. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah, science
Let's be
bros
real.
and,
Science
and
bros,
army
yeah.
bros.
I know.
I couldn't change a thing in that trailer. Like, there's
No.
nothing It also didn't give a lot away.
I
Like, I
know.
loved how it was just like, hey, this is what the plot's gonna be. That's all you need.
Yeah, but all that being said, we didn't see any Baron Zemo.
Nope.
We didn't
Nope.
see anything regarding that entire
Save
storyline.
Spider-Man. I'm so
Yeah.
glad.
There's nothing regarding Spider-Man in any capacity.
Yeah, and I know people have been tweeting like, "Is this a Spider-Man?" I'm like,
It's-
no,
no,
it's
it's
not.
not.
The homie in a
Spider-Man.
sweatshirt.
Yeah,
It's not. It's
Spider-Man is, as far as we know and as far as I know, he is not in this trailer whatsoever.
Which I'm glad.
So-
I really don't want, like we were saying earlier, trailers give too much away. I don't want to see Spider-Man in
No.
the first trailer. Save that.
I don't want to see him in any
period.
trailer.
I hope there's, it'll be in the TV spot because they need to sell tickets. But I hope.
because they need to sell tickets.
It's only going to make 7.2 billion.
Yeah.
They need 7.3. No, I think the trailer did everything it was meant to do, and it gave us a tone. Like, it's not an Avengers movie. It's a Captain America movie.
Yeah.
The Avengers
Yeah.
are there, and that's great. That was the only thing I was worried about,
Yeah,
and that
same.
is well established in this trailer.
Yeah.
And I think it's like we had mentioned that this phase is going to be a lot more about team ups, and I think that's what we're seeing. I'd rather see team ups versus ensemble, and yes, we're going to see some ensembles, but we're definitely going to see more focus on. It's going to be a Bucky and Cap movie, and we're going to see some Tony.
That makes
and
sense for the
Black
comics.
Panther,
People team
yep.
up. And Scarlet Witch
Yeah.
learning how to use her powers. There's so much.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
I don't know if they can see it on YouTube right now, but iTunes listeners, we're looking at a screen cap of Captain's team, which includes Hawkeye, Falcon, and Winter Soldier, but we've also got Scarlet Witch back there, like using her powers to fly, and it's just like that's the first time we've seen her doing that, and it's such a cool scene. Like it's such a dynamic. It's so good. It is so good.
It does make me wonder, though, how Falcon's going to feel with Bucky back, if he's going to feel like second place now, because he's kind of been his sidekick for a while, his partner.
Yeah,
and I
that
wonder,
seems interesting.
we've kind of talked about thinking that Black Widow or Hawkeye might be the one who switches sides. I wonder if it might ultimately actually be Falcon, because he might start to feel like put
that'd be
out.
interesting.
That would be interesting. Yeah, all I care about in this movie is seeing Ant-Man on the tip of one of Hawkeye's arrows. That's all I want to
That's
see.
that moment, that cover, man.
If they do that, the movie's a success.
Just
for
the
me.
tip.
Just get out. Stop it.
And Crossbones for a second.
Yeah, we saw him real quick.
Just very briefly. There's so much in that trailer. You could dissect it frame by frame, as the internet has, and find so much more. And that's how you should get information. You shouldn't be like force-fed it in the trailer. Movies are 2.5 hours for a reason. Enjoy them.
Especially these kind of movies. So, do we have any closing thoughts on Civil War? Because we've got to start wrapping up. Our 90 minutes is about up.
Oh, wow. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay.
It looks great. I'm excited. That's it.
Mare?
Yay! I just want more.
Just zeal.
Skip it about. The speechless. Skip it about. Real quick, we had a fan ask us, Dave Goodger, who is Dave_Goodger, when the time comes, do you think Marvel will reboot reboot Iron Man, kill off Tony, or keep him for cameos with a new just actor in the suit, and it's just the suit?
I don't think they should do just the suit, because that would feel false. It would feel wrong, because Iron Man's so Tony Stark. I think it's a Bond kind of character if they find the right actor, but also Downey Jr. is Iron Man, so I don't know if they can. So it's a matter of finding that perfect actor that I don't know that it exists.
I feel like more so than in comics with the movies, they have the ability to bring in new characters. It's so hard to replace a character or an actor, or not an actor, but like a person who plays a superhero in a comic. Like it's hard to replace Tony Stark as Iron Man.
Especially,
But I think in the movies you have more ability to do that. So I think in time, if RDJ wants to leave, they can start putting the seeds of a different person to take over that role, not to just be like, hi, I'm Tony Stark. I think they can just have someone else take over Iron Man that's not Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I have a closing thought I forgot to give. Black Panther. Months ago, I said I hope Black Panther is like a Bond character, and this week, Chadwick Boseman came out and said he's a Bond character.
Wait,
seriously?
He literally used the words that he sees Black Panther as like James Bond, and that he's not funny, but that he handles himself like James Bond with little quips in the way like he's a woman, like he treats women. He literally said James Bond, and I was really like, that's exactly the Black Panther I want. So it made me really happy. A bunch of our fans tweeted that quote at me because
really?
he literally said the
that's so
thing that I was
cool.
like, that's my dream, and then the dream is happening.
Yeah.
So I think it's really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
That's so
Like
awesome.
true verbatim quote. Pretty cool.
So, do you think we'll see Wakanda
Oh yeah.
in Civil War?
I think so. I mean, we've seen South Africa. It makes sense. That they'd get, and we had to plant claw more. I think we'll have a little taste.
Yeah.
Do you want to do 5 stars?
Yeah, 5 stars. Let's do it.
We've only got 3. Love this podcast, said Coders114. Swervin' Irvin is a fantastic name. And my favorite of the week is Kelly L, who said, Matt and Coy are my superpowered sexy man crushes. They make me giggle every week. Meredith is the gorgeous ringleader that keeps them in line most of the time. I love you all. Please never leave.
That's great. It's
pretty cute.
I would read a comic based off that review.
It's pretty great, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know how to take compliments.
Well, it was all a compliment, and then she made sure to be like, and they stay in line. She knew how to keep us.
Voice of Doom, did you have something?
Well, another feather you guys can put in your cap. As of right now, you are the 45th most popular TV and film podcast on all of iTunes.
Yeah, I'll take it.
That's so cool.
iTunes is big, you guys.
Yeah, that's a big thing. We're in the top 50.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
That's
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Tell your friends. Let's go for 43.
I know.
Reach for the stars.
It's a Christmas miracle. We're number 33 now.
That's so cool, guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's so cool.
Thank you for
Thanks,
that, Voice of
guys.
Doom.
Thanks, viewers, for doing that.
Yeah,
Thanks
and
to you guys.
viewers. That's amazing.
Aw.
We leveled up.
We leveled up. So anyway, let's wrap it up. Closing thoughts. Let's start with our guest. Do you want me to start with you, or do you want me to start with someone else?
Closing thoughts
Yeah.
on the show? Everything?
Just
Life in
Jessica
general.
Jones, Civil War, whatever you want to say.
Well, I really like you guys.
Oh,
Whitney, we like you
I
too.
really like this podcast. I like you guys watching on Koi's computer. I'm super excited about everything, pretty much. Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
And I will plug my movie now if that's an appropriate
No, please
thing to
do. You have a movie. That's amazing.
I just had a movie come out that you can rent or buy on iTunes. It's called The Beginner's Guide to Sex. It doesn't have anything to do with comic books, but it's really funny and sweet and gross, and you can watch me in it. The end.
I will endorse this because I watched the first 5 minutes as a preview, and it's really funny, and she's really charming and endearing, and I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
Dirt Nasty's in it, right?
Dirt Nasty is my love interest. in it.
Yeah.
Simon.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Koi Boy, do you have anything, sir?
This
This is your final show of the year.
This is my final show. I'm done, you guys. They fired me. No. I'm done for the year. No, I'm coming back. I'll be back on the New Year's episode because we have a Thursday, and Thursday's New Year's. But until then, I'm going out of town. I mentioned that Thanksgiving I wanted to see my family, so I'm actually going back to Boston for the first time in 2 years to see my friends, and then going back for an extended stay to see my family right after because I miss them and I love them dearly. Everyone love your family. It's important. In closing, I did a Doritos commercial. I helped on one, and it made the top 50, which means
Nice.
we're in the 1%. There were thousands and thousands, and they kept one.
1%er.
I still got 1% over the first time. So yeah, when that comes out in January, you guys can vote and stuff, and it's pretty funny.
Is it the Crash the Super Bowl
Yeah,
thing?
with Swipe for Doritos, we did like an app, and it's funny.
Cool.
So I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, but
It's pretty funny. But yeah, so I'm not gonna be here for the next few weeks, guys. So this was a great hour and a half send off,
Yeah.
and the reason I wore my sweater. You guys are amazing, and I will miss you, and I will think of all of you as one unit because I don't know you all individually on Christmas. And have a very holly jolly awesome one, and hug everyone and love.
Aw.
Hashtag men love.
Hashtag men love.
Men love.
Give presents,
love.
surprise people. Just do awesome in the world, and things will get better because that's how the world works. Just do better.
Meredith?
I actually wanted to thank a lot of our viewers found out. I actually had a not so good thing happen a couple of weeks ago. My cat passed. I
So
know it's
sad.
kind of why I wasn't here for a while. It was really sad, but I don't know how some of you guys found out because I kind of kept it personal. But you guys found out, and everyone who reached out to me, you were all super awesome, and thank you because it really did cheer me up because she was my baby, so thank you. So if you have fur babies, go hug and pet them for me because they are the best things, and people are awesome too, and you can hug them too, I suppose. But yeah, so I really did want to thank you guys because it was really rough for me, and you guys cheered me up. And on that note, also, I just hope everyone has a wonderful holiday. I very happy I got to go home and see my family for Thanksgiving, and I'll be spending the holiday with my boyfriend and his family, so it'll be good. And then just catching up on comics because I
that's
haven't.
what I'm doing the next 2 weeks.
Like surprisingly, of all the plane flights I was on, I didn't get to read a lot of comics, so I'm 2 weeks behind.
Such goodness.
I know. I gotta go read. I read a couple like Vision and some other things, but I want to read a lot of comics.
Me and my dad read comics together when
That's
I'm home.
so
It literally,
sweet.
there's like
That's
a
so
couch and a couch, and we just like flip and like, yeah.
I wish I
It's like
had
the coolest
that.
thing to like
Oh my
hand back and
God.
forth. So I'm
Jealous.
stoked for that.
And then just a little plug for me. I actually write over at geek.com. So if you guys like my writing, you should go read what I do over there. And I have a YouTube thing I do. It's small. I just people send me stuff and I unbox them, or I do videos about me talking about comic books. It's youtube.com/themeerkatsays. And I most recently did an unbagging of Harley's Little Black Book. It's
Aw.
really cool because DC did something really, really neat and different with it. So please go watch it because I don't know, I'm really excited because Harley is back to being awesome in it. I will definitely say that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
really
covers
cool.
are amazing.
They are so
Batman
amazing.
Europa is so good. Sorry to talk about a DC
No,
comic.
I
Batman
know.
Europa is incredible. Read Batman
it really
Europa.
is. Yeah.
Oh, so was Dark Knight 3. I loved it.
Yeah.
So
I was
good.
surprised that I loved it. Real quick, on our live chat, Lexi Cannell asked if I was excited for Dan Abnett's Guardians comic, Guardians 1000. If Dan Abnett's going to write it, I'm going to be excited about it because he wrote, like, I think the quintessential run. Like, he, like, even more, like, in my opinion, even more so than what Bendis is currently doing. Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning's run on Guardians is what brought Guardians back, and it's so good. It's so good. So that's my thought. And happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays coming up. We've got 2 more shows left, but that's our show for today. That's our 90-minute holiday spectacular. Woo!
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
went by
Brian,
so
for coming
fast.
in and sleeping on our cosmic couch. Thank you. You're always welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe to our show on iTunes, Marvel Movie News. Rate us, leave us a comment. Also do the same thing on YouTube. Find us on Facebook /Marvel News Show and Twitter @Marvel News PTN. Whitney Moore, what's your Twitter?
Tweetney Moore, TWEETNEYMOORE.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Matt Key @TheMattKey.
I'm Meredith Placko @MPlacko.
I'm Jandreau @CoyJandreau.
And that's our show. Thank you very much. Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.